Hi there, welcome back to the YouTube channel. I'm back again. Taking a break from lots of things. Took a bit of a break yesterday looking at one of the new cards from the Murders of Karloff Manor, and I'm going back to one of my favourite planeswalkers ever printed. I'm very happy. I've been waiting for this card to get a reprint on mtgo for a while, and it is one of those cards that came out in one of the original Commander decks back in the day when planeswalkers first became commanders, and I never picked it up. I still regret it. I'm still trying to pick one up in real life, but for now I am literally going to be talking about Lord Windgrace. I'm sure a lot of you have played against Lord Windgrace if you played at all on mtgo. It tends to be one of the more competitive decks that comes out, and it comes around quite often. And it's just worth recapping. 2 black, red and green for a 5 loyalty planeswalker. +2, discard a card, then draw a card. If a land card is discarded this way, draw an additional card. -3, return up to 2 target land cards from your graveyard to the battlefield. And -11, destroy up to 6 target non-land permanents, then create 6 2/2 green cat warrior creature tokens with Forest Walk. And obviously Lord Windgrace can be your commander. I absolutely have adored this card, and I've been waiting such a long time for this to actually make it onto mtgo in a reasonable format. I mean, the price has crashed. If you haven't picked one up, you can go and get this alternate version, which comes from, it's one of the special guest cards from one of the recent sets. I can't remember which one it is now, but I'm sure someone can tell me in the comments. And I have just so pleased I've been able to pick it up and build this deck. So here we go. If you've played Lord Windgrace before, there's a few new cards in here. I have updated it, so here we go. To start off with, Lord Windgrace is really into lands, so we are actually playing 41 lands in this deck. We are playing all the green, black and red lands you can think of. They come through, and we're just playing 2 of each of the basics. So 2 basic forests, 2 basic mountains, 2 basic swamps. We have got the Proving Grounds, Yavimar Cradle, Urborgs in here, Undergrowth Stadium, so on and so forth. Savage Lands is also here, because why not have the other tri-land in the deck as well. You name it, it's here. A couple of things that I haven't got in here, which I will be honest about. I haven't included the Temple of the False God, just so I want to give it a break. Same with Reliquary Tower, that's not gone in this deck either. I'm giving a break from playing them for this deck today. But Field of the Dead is back, Fabled Passage back, and along with Exotic Orchard. One card I will point out is I have got a singular Badlands in here. I haven't got any of the other jewels that fit this colour combination, so you can take this out and replace it with something else. There's still lots of options out there of what you can do, but Badlands is here, hence why the cost of the deck's quite high. I've also got Argrowth Sanctum of Nature in here, because you've got to have Titania in this deck to make it work. So, you know, they're both here, and hopefully we'll get them melded into the Incarnate at some stage. Artifact ramp wise, Tantalite, Talisman, Sol Ring, Arcane Signet. I got a new fancy one. I was happy with this. Came through in the packs we get given for buying stuff on here. Emerald Medallion, Jet Medallion, Ruby Medallion, one of each of the requisite talismans, and Chromatic Lantern to back everything up. That's where I'm going with the artifact ramp for this deck today. But the rest of it is really all about abusing Lord Windgrace. I will point out, well, I should have pointed out, sorry, is I've got things like Cabaretti Courtyard in here, so, you know, get a lot of landfall triggers with a bit of luck. So, how does it work? Well, it works by getting a creature into play and then abusing that creature's abilities to do things, or getting Lord Windgrace into play and then just drawing your cards and getting your cards back from your graveyard. And we have several ways of doing that as well. So, first 1-drop creature, Stitcher's Supplier. I haven't seen this in any of the Lord Windgrace decks, but I think it actually fits in here quite nicely. Enters the battlefield, we mill 3. We want to see the lands in the graveyard, so it's not a problem. When it dies, we mill 3, and it gives us a little blocker. Crop rotations there if we need to go and sack off one of the lands we don't need and get something more useful. Exploration lets us double up on how many lands we can play each turn at the start. And Elixir of Immortality, because if everything goes pear-shaped, this gives you a way of getting everything back in your library to do it all again. Stitch Together to return one of the creatures. We're only playing 19 creatures, so we are low on creatures, so Stitch Together makes sense. And hopefully we'll have Threshold that if the card is in the graveyard, we can bring it back and put it into the play instead of our hand, but we'll see. Ancient Grudge, just to take out some annoying artifacts as things go along. Sylvan Library, just so we can draw even more cards. Probably looking at the top 3 and then putting 2 back, unless we really need them for some reason, in which case we'll pay the 4 life. There's no real life gain in this deck, so we've got to be careful paying the 4 life with Sylvan Library. The rest of it I've talked about there. Valakut Exploration, it comes in, it was, can't remember, so it's Zendikar Rising, there you go. When it enters, you may exile top card of your library. You can play it as long as it's exiled, and then your end step, if they are in exile, they go to your graveyard and you get to deal that damage with Valakut. Nice. Seismic Assault lets us discard our lands to ping anything, well, shock anything in play. Azusa lets us play even more lands. Cultivate finds us the lands. And Entish Restoration coming in from Lord of the Rings. Sack a land, search the library for up to 2 basic land cards and put them onto the battlefield tap, then shuffle. If we've got a creature that's powered 4 or greater, get 3 basic lands that way. So it does get your basics out really quickly. You may want to play more basics, but 6 I think is enough at the moment. Growing Rights of Imhotep, just go and find some of the creatures, and if everything else goes in the graveyard, so be it. Harrow, sacrifice it, go and find some more basics. Nissa, Resurgent Animus, comes in from the Aftermath set that came out after March of the Machines. Basically gives you a kind of Lotus Cobra effect to start with, and then if you can do it another time, you get to reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal an elemental card. There's no other elves in here that are going to upset it, and then you get to put that in your hand, so you know it's pretty good. Ruminant Excavator lets us play our lands from our graveyard. Rites of Flourishing lets us draw an extra card every turn and play an extra land every turn if we need to. Search for Tomorrow is just here to suspend and eventually find a basic land. Spelunking stops all our cards coming into play tapped, which is nice. All our lands come into play tapped, which is great. You get to draw a card and put it into a land card from your hand onto the battlefield, and if you put a cave into the battlefield this way, you do gain 4 life. I am playing caves. Not those caves, there you go. Hidden Necropolis, Nursery and Volcano are all here just to help us out a little bit in case we want to do some of the nice fancy Discover 4 shenanigans that this deck can do quite happily. Calls for a Crew Fix lets us play lands off the top of our library and gain a life every time we play one. That's about the only land life gain we have got. Titania, I've already mentioned, she's here as well, so we can do whenever we play 1 or more lands. Pinch your graveyard, gain 2. Getting your upkeep, if we have 4 or more land cards in our graveyard and you own both and control Titania and Agaroth, you get to do the Incarnate. And the Incarnate is stupid. Vigilance, Reach, Trample and Haste. Power and toughness equals the number of lands we control. Enter the battlefield, return all land cards from our graveyard to the battlefield, and then put 4 +1/+1 counters on target land you control. It becomes a 0/0 elemental with haste. It's still a land. I think, if I remember correctly, that costs us something like 4 mana. 1 green of 4, if my memory serves correctly. Journey to Eternity. It comes in as one of the really useful lands. We can get it enchanted on a creature and get it flipped. Crucible of Worlds, play our lands from our graveyard. And Matsalantili, the Great Door. Draw and discard, that's fine. Pay 4 to transform it, but only if there's 4 permanent types among cards in your graveyard. So artifacts, battles, creatures, enchantments, lands and planeswalkers are permanents. Should be able to get there, I think. We have got a few enchantments and a few bits and pieces, so we'll see. But then it flips into the core and we just get to add mana. So hopefully we'll be able to get there quite quickly with this deck. Terratide helps us control the board with the amount of stuff we have in the graveyard. Journey to the Lost City is a fun card I like playing from Baldur's Gate. At the beginning of your upkeep, exile top 4 cards of your library. Roll a d20. We put a land card from among them onto the battlefield. Create a 2/2 wolf creature token, then put a +1/+1 counter on it for each creature card amongst those cards. And then put all permanent cards exiled with Journey to the Lost City onto the battlefield, then sacrifice it. Yeah. We'll give it a risk. Okay, we might get exiled some things we can't ever cast, but at the end of the day, it's a good bit of fun, and I like it. Oracle of Muldai, more lands we can play off the top of our library and play an additional one. Splendid Reclamation brings them all back from our graveyard if we need them to tapped, unless we've got Spelunking in play, in which they come into play untapped. Bear it in mind. Wilderness Reclamation lets you untap all the lands at your end step. Abundance. If you draw a card, you may instead choose land or non-land. Yeah. They all go on the bottom, so whatever you're short of when you've got this in play is the one you choose. Conduit of Worlds, another way of playing cards for our graveyards, and choose target non-land permanent in your graveyard. If you haven't cast a spell this turn, you may cast that card. If you do, you can't cast additional spells. Gives you a way of getting some of your creatures back. It's like green, unburial, yeah, living death, whatever you want to call it, graveyard recursion. That's the phrase I'm looking for. Minna and Den, Wildborn, extra lands, return a land card you control to its owner's hand, give a creature trample that hasn't got it. And if you're playing Lord Windgrace, you've got to play the Soul, haven't you? Enter the battlefield or attacks, put a land card from your graveyard onto the battlefield, tapped under your control. Green, discard a land, gain 3. 1 and red, discard a land, draw a card. 2 and a black, discard a land, it gets indestructible until the end of the turn and we tap it. Nice 5/4. Obnixilus the Fallen does the whole landfall trick and target player loses 3 and we get to put a load of +1/+1 counters on him. Jaya's Phoenix deals combat damage to a player or planeswalker. You copy the next loyalty ability you activate this turn. When you activate it, you may choose new targets for it. And whenever you cast a planeswalker spell, return this from the graveyard to the battlefield. It's a 3/3 with haste for 5 mana that flies. Lord Windgrace is our commander. It really does stay in the game unless someone gets rid of it with some like Bajuka Bog. Nesting Dragon does the whole landfall, gives us some dragon eggs, and when they die, we get to have a 2/2 dragon token with fire breathing. Green Sleeves has got protection from planeswalkers and wizards, and power and toughness equal to the number of lands we control, and then landfall gives us a 3/3 badger token. One of the new cards I've added in from the most recent set, Lost Caverns, is Ojar Kaslam, Deepest Growth. You get to find a land with it, and you get to find a creature. That's fine. No problem with that. And it is trample at 6/5, and it becomes a land when we need it to when it dies. You know? And the chance I'll be able to transform it quite quickly again. The Mending Dominaria lets us do the whole mill thing, then return all our lands again. Zendikar's Royal, every land gives us a 2/2 green elemental creature token. And the Gitrog monster. Had to be here, didn't it? Sacrifice a land, and then you can play an additional land, and whenever one or more lands go in your graveyard from anywhere, draw a card. Nice. Moving on, Ancient Greenwater lets us play our lands from our graveyards and doubles up the triggers of any lands we have coming into play. Rampaging Baloths gives us lots and lots of beasts to attack with. And Rebuild the City lets us copy a land. There are 3 tokens, except they're 3/3 copy creatures in addition to their other types, and they have Vigilance and Menace. They aren't affected by Summoning Sickness, so they've kind of got haste as well. Oh, no, they haven't. They are affected. Sorry, I misread that. They are affected by Summoning Sickness. Really should have learned to read the card properly. Sorry for the mistake, everybody. Avenger Zendikar, you had to have at least, it's a landfall deck. You're going to have Avenger here somewhere, aren't you? Along with Omnath, Locus of Rage, because who doesn't want more 5/5s when you're playing a land? And the final card in the deck, Savage Twister, to help us control the board. Now, there are a lot of higher tuned versions of Lord Windgrace out there. I'm not going to argue that at all. I have seen versions that run Mana Crypt, Mana Vault, all the rest of it to get this out and keep going, and then just ramp, and you die very quickly. I could have played Tempting Discovery in the deck. I decided against it because I've seen it go wrong a couple of times for me recently, so I've gone off it a bit, even though I love the card. But it is Lord Windgrace at the end of the day. It is back. People may not be aware that it's come back on mtgo at the moment, and it is. I'll show you what GoatBots are selling it for. Hold on. There we go. If you go to GoatBots, the borderless special guest one is 0.4 of a ticket. The regular treasure chest one, if you want the original artwork, is 1.5 tickets, basically 1.3. So yeah, worth going and picking up the borderless special guest version. I actually prefer the artwork on this compared to the original one. But that's it for today. That is my little take on Lord Windgrace. Thank you everyone who's come and watched videos this week. Please, if you haven't already, subscribe button should be here somewhere. Link down below to Twitch. Come watch me play this deck. Come and follow me on Twitter as well. You'll know when I'm going live and so on and so forth. That's it for now. So thank you for watching this. I hope everyone remembers how good Lord Windgrace is and this helps. And I'll see you in the next video whenever that happens. Take care. See you soon. Bye.